Gertrude Eileen Rahalee Johnson, my mother, was tall and slim. At 5 feet 10 inches, a lovely height for a woman today, she felt freakily oversized during the time she grew up. The dress code for her high school graduation, for example, called for white shoes. The only white shoes that would fit her size 12 feet were white nursing shoes, and the measure of that humiliation lies in the fact that she never forgot it. It was one of the few memories that she shared with us. Her mother could not comprehend how she could have given birth to such a large, ungainly child. She called Eileen a galumphing galoot, an Irish term that I don't think was a compliment. I know very little about either of my grandmothers, but what I know of Eileen's mother, my Grandma Annie, for whom I was named, though her full name was Anastasia Gertrude Manning Rahalee, and mine was just Ann Manning Johnson. Anyway, what I know of her is not to her credit. The most generous thing that I can say is that she herself seems to have been raised with so little love and understanding that she didn't, in turn, know how to parent her own 2 daughters, or even how to love them. Grandma Annie was tiny. Eileen said, small-boned and delicate, not over 5'3". A pretty little thing. She must have found it hard to love that first daughter who was so different from her, the daughter with huge feet, big bones, who ended up 7 or 8 inches taller than she was, who got her growth early so that she towered over her own mother by the time she was 13. Oh, yes, it must have been hard to love a daughter who was so different from her. And when the second daughter turned out to be small-boned, pretty, smart, lively, and much more like her mother, well, you can guess who got the allotment of mother's love in that house. Eileen was as gawky as a giraffe calf, all knees and long bones. She made it to her adult stage through camouflage, by hiding her own self from her mother, by learning to fit in. She managed to live through those first 18 years. Then she had 10 more years on her own, first at college, then living in Chicago, though she told us very little about her life in Chicago. Born in 1904, Eileen was at the tail end of the lost generation. She lived by rules, whether the church's or her mother's, in a time when rules were under assault from all sides. And then, presto, from big city to county town. Eileen married Myron Johnson, a dashing, ambitious young country boy. Smacked by the Depression soon after their marriage, they left the city and hightailed it back to the security of his family and rural patronage. Eileen, transplanted city girl, had to make her way through the jungle of this little town, again camouflaging her own self. Such good practice she'd had at this with her mother. For a long time, the only visible sign of her creativity was her fecundity. A miscarriage, then 5 children in 7 years, with another added 7 years later as the whipped cream on this family cake. So instead of a life as a fashion designer in Chicago or New York, which might have suited her quite well, Eileen lived 40 years in a town of 2,500 people, raising 6 children and surreptitiously exercising her creative nature any way she could. A creative life. Eileen's refuge was the sewing machine. It was her library, her piano, her easel. She immersed herself in a publicly sanctioned activity. Oh, what a great mother! She sews all her kids' clothes. That was not only economically necessary, but, unknown to everyone but us children, also her secret vice. She succumbed to her addiction daily, and this vice had the negative effect of any addiction, a lack of attention to other areas of her life, including those children she was sewing for. When Daddy sold the newspaper and all its paraphernalia, gone the monster press, the linotype machine, the paper folder, Eileen was careful to hold on to the old wood display type and the old lead cuts of pictures. She began to make plaques and wall hangings for people, first as gifts and then later actually for sale. Each plaque Eileen made was personal. Each held a bit of the client